Hello and welcome to the Rupee Rakshak News of 15 September 2023. This is our 5th episode. I'm your host Raghu Rao, and this week we are going to bring you some latest news and some key information that can help you decide how and where to invest. Rupee Rakshak News is brought to you from the newsroom of Finmo, a SEBI registered investment advisor. Our financial advice to you is backed by extensive research into the world of mutual fund stocks and bonds. And this week, India's stock has gone up massively all across the world with a stellar show as the host of G20 Summit. We'll hear more about this in our special segment on G20. G20 Summit in New Delhi dominated the airwaves and also filled all of us with pride to see India taking center stage in the world. Now let us hear the views of an economist on what transpired in G20 and what are the key takeaways. Welcome, Mohan, to this discussion on G20.
Thank you, Raghu.
So G20, as everybody says, has been a massive success for India. So what are the key takeaways and what made it successful?
The moment I hear people talking about success of G20, it is very important to know why this G20 is a success. For me, one thing that on top of all the things that looks at is the biggest achievement, the success of this G20 with Bharat being the presidency, sitting on as a president of this summit, is to include African Union and give the membership seat to the African Union. And that moment in that video, before the African Union president could take his chair, he came and hugged Modi and Modi showed him his seat. That was the best moment according to me, because there is tremendous amount of talent in these African countries and it was never recognized for so many years. And it is a tremendous way to actually include people who actually need representation. And these countries have been brutally exploited by various nations over decades, by their own leaders, the selfish leaders, as well as leaders of the other countries. And this is very, very substantial. According to me personally, that is something that Raghu, that I really liked when I could see that the African Union getting their due, that which was due for very long period, and tremendous effort. And India was the first to propose the membership for the African Union.
Yes. The G20 is a forum that shapes world economy, and African Union was a much awaited and long pending inclusion. What else is a key part of the success in G20? What did India do right?
Everything that Bharat did was right, in terms of right from planning, right from putting the agenda, right from the participation. In fact, excellent work done by India in this presidency. Normally, a G20 or G7, this kind of meetings used to be a closed door meetings in some national capital of some country. Leaders come, they fight, they talk something else on the bilateral talks. They tell something else in the press meeting. So nothing actually works. It was more a show to the camera rather than any meaningful thing happening in the summit. And for the first time, what I see, the agenda that is set. In fact, if you see the kind of participation that has happened, 40. Let me just look at the exact numbers. 44 world leaders, and out of the 20 national leaders, 9 guest countries, 14 heads of the global agency. And this is the highest ever turnout seen in any G20 summits happened so far.
Yeah.
And everybody was there. Unfortunately, you didn't have China president as well as the Russian president. Of course, I'll come to that separately, but in spite of that, it has been an amazing journey, right from what I can say, this you can't have a planning better than this. We have been seeing the leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi right from 2014, the way he fought the election, then the way he set the development path for India. Now we are going to see the third term election for him, and the details that it goes, and he chooses the right people for the right job and personally monitors and make sure each of them excel, as well as a team they excel. That is a fantastic show what we have seen. They did almost 60 meetings. Normally it used to happen one conference for 2 days and it is over. In fact, the entire year they did. The moment it was announced, there were 60 meetings that happened, and not in the capital cities. Amazing planning, and exposed, made sure that people met. Not just the presidents of the country, but all the people, ministries, different people for climate, for technology, for environment. Various people were called and they made to talk, they made to understand India, know each other well. That people connect, Raghu, that was an amazing thing. And when in today's world of every country looks at the other country as an enemy. The other country grows means I feel I am losing. So in this kind of a whole environment, it is very important for the countries to come and know each other. Build in that end of the day you have your citizens. There are people wherever they are. Everybody wants good shelter, good food and good state of living. But because of these differences of thinking of the leaders and not going together, this stage was set for people to meet more often at different level and make them speak. This is most important. You have to give voices to these people. And if you probably see the emerging countries, nobody would get even half a minute in a large meeting to express. So in an international conference, for countries to voice their problems, to know what is going wrong, how they can improve and how they can cooperate with other countries, it's important to provide that opportunity to talk, and this 60 meetings is a tremendous way to give them all the members an opportunity to voice their concern, and then that is what transpired to the declaration.
Okay, so there was a people connect as well, not just the leader connect. So that was one good thing.
So the people connect, when I say, of course, all these are leaders. I mean, when I say representations coming from Russia, coming from Europe, coming from West, coming from East, coming from Australia, so this is actually leaders, but the leader has to know as the other leader, as a friend, as someone who has a genuine concern that there is an issue. The issue cannot be sorted by one country. After all, it is just one earth. What happens in one area, automatically if the COVID comes to one country, definitely it will come. How much can you stop people moving from one country to other country? Today it's a connected world. So issue in one country will definitely be issue in another country. As long as you have your neighbor's problem is also your problem. So it is important that though leaders, it is important for them to connect and really feel that it is genuine, the other side is really genuine.
Yeah.
And you can open up and tell your real concern and sort it out through bilateral talks, and it will pave way for at least openness.
So this also paved way for the consensus that we saw at the end, in spite of the leaders of Russia and China not participating, isn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, there was lot of doubts. The reason, if you ask me why Russia did not participate or why China did not participate, it's not that they didn't want to come. They wanted to avoid an embarrassment. No, you know what happened in the declaration in Indonesia, and Russia didn't want the embarrassment, so Putin didn't arrive because they didn't know what will be the declaration.
Yes.
Will it go against them? They didn't want to have any kind of embarrassing situation. Now look at the way it turned out. I mean, hats off to the team which did tremendous amount of overnight 18 hours, 20 hours kind of negotiation to arrive at a declaration, and in the end agreeing it unanimously. and what issues, I mean the kind of issues if you see, I will not go into each and every detail of it, maybe for common man it may not be of much interest, but tremendous value. You talk about connecting the road and the water linkage right from India to Dubai to West, an alternative to the Belt and Road Initiative. At much lesser cost, and today because so many leaders are there, you will really see that it is happening in next 3-5 years, and you know who is controlling it. The man who says I will do it, he will do it. And it is with the number of leaders of all these countries involved, and they have declared that we will build so much of communication across the countries, and it is going to be a win-win for all, because end of the day more communication, more business, more commercial trades and agreements that are happening, it is also going to be tremendous value for India, because you know what happened when you actually reduced one GST was brought in, and one taxation came in, and you created that highway the tolls. Today you look at at what speed the goods can be shifted, at what low cost. Imagine if this can happen within India, and if it can happen between the countries.
That's amazing.
That's something amazing. That decision was taken, and it was more socio-economic. War and other things were very little. The reason why G20 was formed is more for socio-economic development. To make sure these countries grow, use each other's resources and grow together as with cooperation and with understanding.
So with India being the voice of the global south, and with the developing countries having a more say, so there is a broader representation in G20 than in a forum like G7, isn't it? So G20 seems to be shaping the world economy more than G7 does. What do you say?
Absolutely. Like it is in stock market we talk about blue chip stocks and mid cap stocks and small cap stocks. G20 is a mid cap. Mid cap means high growth stocks. So these are the countries which will grow at much higher rate. Today you look at we call emerging companies, means as if some poor countries, they don't have anything to eat and drink. That is not emerging countries. Emerging countries means high growth countries. You rightly said G20 represents the true global growth. Now already bigger countries have stopped growing. Where is the growth in GDP in America? Where is the growth in China? Where is the growth in Europe? It is degrowing. Now where will the growth will come? It will come from G20. Now for your question on G7 versus G20, that is something I really love to answer. It is my very personal opinion. G7 you look at, what is G7? These are the big 7 countries. Now what is the understanding between them? Are they great friends, this G7? They are not. G20 on the other hand is a huge promise, thanks to India, thanks to Bharat for setting up a new standard in terms of how a G20 should be run. Truly as a leader, setting standards for others, how you should run the G20 and what should be the true spirit of encouragement, true spirit of cooperation, really feeling for the other country as if they are also part of your country. So that is something that a new model is set for G20. I only hope the next summit will only take it from here and further improve, and all these nations, I am sure they are going to work together, and we have very huge future and lot of positive things to come up for the world. At least the talk has begun now.
So viewers, the broad-based representation that G20 brings to the world is also seen in many of the proposals, such as reforming the governance of the multilateral lenders and the launch of the Global Biofuels Alliance and so on. So behind the wonderful optics that we witnessed and felt so proud about, there is also substantial progress, and then there are meaningful proposals that has to be taken forward with G20. Thank you, Mohan, for these insights on G20.
Thank you, Raghu. I enjoyed a lot talking about this subject. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.